parts mill in the future?
The oldest
The
one's
next
4.
couple of months?
We can get started.
Okay.
All good? Okay. Welcome, everyone. We have a quorum, therefore I'd like to call this meeting to order. Good afternoon. Today is Tuesday, January 14th, 2025, and this is the regular meeting of the El Paso County Historical Commission. The time is 4 p.m. Could everyone please stand for the pledges of allegiance? Thank you.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor
Under the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, one and indivisible.
Thank you, everyone. All right. Could you please take the attendance roll call?
Yes, Chair. Commissioner Bear is absent. Commissioner Chaparro is absent. Commissioner Condon,
Present.
Commissioner Hamilton,
Here.
Commissioner Howe,
Present?
Commissioner Kanoff,
Present.
Commissioner Kidney is absent. Commissioner McDonald is absent. Commissioner McKenzie,
Present.
Commissioner Welch.
Here. Thank you. All right, that takes us to public comment. Is there anyone signed up for public comment?
Yes, ma'am. We have Ms. Anna Schumacher from the County Attorney's
Hi.
Office.
Welcome, Anna.
Been a little bit. Good afternoon, Anna Schumacher, Assistant County Attorney. I think the last time I was here was maybe last year while covering with Mr. Salayandia. I'm here with exciting news. Mr. Jacob Reynolds is actually going to be the new assigned Assistant County Attorney to the Historical Commission. So this is Mr. Reynolds.
Hey.
Yes, so Mr. Reynolds.
You'll
Thank you.
be sorry.
No, this is very interesting work. I think you all will find that you really have a lot in common with Mr. Reynolds. He is coming from Texas Tech Law School. He has a wealth of information with regards to legal research. He is coming to us from the DA's office. He was there for about three years, but he had a deep interest in general counsel work, and so he's now joined our team. So I think that you all will very much enjoy working with him. So thank you all
Awesome.
for having him. Thank you all.
Thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for the introduction and welcome. Cool. Well, that brings us on to the consent agenda. So, the consent agenda for today consists of item 5, A through C. Does anyone need to pull anything? No? All right. Can we have a motion to approve?
I so move.
Is there a
Second.
second? All right.
Apologies, Commissioners.
No worries.
We have a new meeting system. We're trying to take the minutes on.
Do you need us to repeat? Commissioner McKenzie was first, and then Commissioner Howe second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you. All right, that takes us on to item number 6, the regular agenda. A, receive a presentation by guest speaker Victor Hurtado and Dr. Max Grossman about the new West Texas Preservation Office. Welcome, gentlemen.
Commissioners, what a pleasure. I'll speak first, but before I do, how many minutes do we have between us?
At most. Go for it.
All right, I'll be concise.
Oh,
So,
yeah, Max.
I want to introduce you to Victor Hurtado, who is the first program officer of the West Texas Office of Preservation Texas that we are establishing in our downtown shortly. This is historic. Preservation Texas, founded in 1985, is the largest private nonprofit in the state focused on historic preservation. I've served on the board of directors for 2 years, and we're embarking on an ambitious project to establish 7 field offices across the state. We began with San Marcos, Texas, which covers central Texas, and we have one in Tyler, which covers East Texas, and our third office is here in El Paso. We received $300,000 of hotel occupancy tax funds, $100,000 a year for 3 years, as well as a lot of private donations, most importantly, J.P. Bryan. And Victor will be establishing the office, if all goes well, right in the heart of our downtown. We're at the point of working on a lease. In any case, I'm also on the board of directors of the Trow Society, which is our small local nonprofit, which we are dissolving. It will be subsumed by the West Texas office. We're turning over all of our assets and operations to Victor, including our social media platforms, which with 12,000 followers that we built up over the last decade, and copyrights and other intellectual assets. All of that goes to the West Texas office. So it will incorporate all of the operations of the Trow Society, promoting our historic districts, historic preservation, policy, offering tours, and so on and so forth, but much, much more. This office has a territory that includes 9 Texas counties, from here to the Pecos River, Brewster County, Presidio County. Victor is going to be very busy, not just in El Paso, but traveling all around the region. We're going to build a new network. We're going to promote historic preservation in a way that it's never been promoted. We're going to work closely with the county and with stakeholders, and we're going to see amazing things happen, okay? So Victor is going to give a presentation. I just want to say one thing as a parenthesis. I'm also on the board of Restore Sacred Heart Church, which is a nonprofit we established to restore Sacred Heart Church, and I made a presentation to this board a couple of years ago. Just want to tell you that we've broken through $1 million, and we're about to hire an architect to begin phase 1, which will consist of restoring the entire exterior of the building. So that's going to get done, and we're going to install new HVAC so it's more comfortable for the attendees. And in phases 2 and 3, we'll get to the interior as well as to the school and rectory. So we're continuing our fundraising efforts, but we've been remarkably successful. We've raised $400,000 just in the last 3 months, and we have 750 individual donors from El Paso, mostly residents of the Segundo Barrio. So we're very proud of that.
Awesome.
In any case, introducing you to Victor. Thank you very much. Keep up the good work. Such a pleasure to see my old friends, all 6 of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Max.
Thank you, Max, for that very kind introduction. In terms of myself, I view this as an opportunity to introduce not only Preservation Texas, but myself, Victor Hurtado, as in this capacity in West Texas, as West Texas Program Officer, stationed here in El Paso. I suspect we'll be collaborating quite a bit with the El Paso County Historical Commission, and I view this opportunity to establish that collaboration as we move forward. And so in later slides, I do want to show you quite a few things I have prepared for you today. If we can move over to the next slide. There we go. In fact, yes, as Max was mentioning earlier on, we were founded in 1985 as the only statewide nonprofit focused on historic preservation at the statewide level. We do support and educate stakeholders in the maintenance and the preservation of their buildings, artifacts, sites, cultural landscapes, as well as their monuments. We are governed by a board of directors where Max is currently on and serving there actively. And we are comprised of 5 full-time staff members, myself included, and as well as you have mentioned, as Max would have mentioned, some folks stationed in Tyler, Texas, as well as San Marcos. Mind you, our main headquarters is in San Marcos, Texas. We rely on membership dues as well as grants, donations, and support and grants and donations and membership dues to support our programming. Preservation Texas has a major role to play in the Most Endangered Places list, which was founded in 2004. This list highlights imperiled properties throughout Texas. A major success story that we've seen is the 1939 Linden Fire Station that is currently undergoing major rehabilitation work. Phase 1 included stabilization of the walls, and subsequent phases will include installation of doors and windows to turn this property into a vacation rental. It was acquired from the city of Linden back in 2022. Out in Central Texas, Preservation Texas acquired the 1915 commercial building from the city of Casi. This building is going to house a visitor center for the Center of Heritage Education. We are very excited about this. It will house temporary exhibits, library, small retail area, collection space, as well as office and meeting space. We're hoping to model something similar here in El Paso. We're getting into we're moving into the future into establishing our West Texas Heritage Center, our first ever West Texas Heritage Center here, which leads me to my next slide here. We support 9 counties throughout West Texas, as Max was mentioning, and we're hoping to establish this West Texas Heritage Center mainly to have exhibits. We're in fact finalizing our first inaugural exhibit that will likely go up very soon in early 2025. And these exhibits highlight the unique cultural heritage here in West Texas. The first exhibit will highlight historic American building survey photographs showing mission trail structures, including the 3 missions, Old Hart's Mill over in West El Paso, and also Casa Ronquillo from San Elizario. In this role, I also hope to provide outreach, education, and advocacy, and so I very much hope to become a resource in terms of preservation. I have served internships in the Texas Historical Commission, Historic Landmark Commission for a 2-year term, and so I very much hope to become a resource here locally as well as throughout West Texas. In terms of 2025, folks, we hope to open our West Texas Heritage Center. That's first and foremost in our top goals. And we also hope to increase our membership dues. As you can see, we really rely a whole lot on membership, and we're hoping to increase that membership by quite a bit, ambitiously by 70 to 90%. We also hope to launch Adobe preservation workshops. We had a very successful iteration of that back in 2024 of last year in June, and we're hoping to launch others here very soon in 2025. We also hope to launch walking tours from this West Texas Heritage Center and other educational programming. We hope to make inroads to develop the field guide for historic El Paso County as part of our contract from the county that is funding us for 3 years. It stipulates that we need to develop this field guide for historic El Paso County, and I hope to make inroads into that in this year of 2025. We also hope to hire a part-time assistant to help in our day-to-day operations in our West Texas Heritage Center. It will be manned by myself as well as a part-time assistant. And of course, I hope to continue being a resource for advocacy, education, and outreach, not only here in El Paso, but throughout the West Texas region. This is the hands-on Adobe workshop that I mentioned earlier. It was June 4th through June the 5th. It was a successful workshop. We even had some folks on the wait list, and so we're hoping to do so again this year, and we are making inroads to identifying potential locations where this will be housed. A roadmap to 2036. In 2036, Texas will be turning 200 years old, as you well know. And by then, we hope to continue with our catalyst projects as well as with our major goals. First and foremost, to acquire significant historical sites and collections. As you've seen throughout Texas, we've done so, and we're hoping to continue doing that. We hope to expand our organizational capacity to really cover the vast expanse of Texas. And so we're hoping to hire more regional officers that could cover the vast expanse of Texas itself. We hope to provide professional preservation services in the form of documentation, National Register nominations, as well as conservation easements that could help protect natural resources buildings in perpetuity, as well as offer preservation planning. Other services are in the works. We're currently making our preservation services list that we can share with everyone very soon here. We rely on our membership, of course, and if anyone is interested, and of course, if anyone of folks that you might know who might be interested in joining us, they're all welcome to join us as members. By joining us as members, we will engage in local support for preservation, deliver timely advocacy, as well as provide educational programming in the form of, for example, Adobe workshops. So thank you very much for your time, folks. I want to thank Cynthia for also organizing this, and I hope to continue collaborating with you all as we move forward here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? I'm sure you all do, so who wants to start? Anyone? Well, I have one question. So on the properties that you have, you said that you basically acquired from these different cities or towns, whatever. Does Preservation Texas now own them, or do they kind of act as a middle person between the city that they were purchased from and, independent ownership?
That is a great question. Perhaps I will share some information there, but I will probably relay to Max to answer part of that. But I do know that Preservation Texas came in fact, involved with the cities to acquire these historic properties. And in fact, from what I know, is that they do currently own them, and
They
they're
retain them. Cool.
transforming these into vacation rentals to generate additional income for the
Yeah,
organization.
we help property owners with their projects, but we also own buildings across Texas that we put back into productive use. And most notably, we own Bassett Farm, which is a vast 19th century farm that was deeded to us,
Cool.
that we're turning into a heritage campus to train preservationists across the state. And that's an ongoing project. We're raising money and restoring buildings. I just want to say one quick thing. I did a poor job of introducing Victor. I just want to say that Victor was my student at UTEP. I've been at
We won't hold it against him, Max.
Please don't, Bobby. I've been at UTEP 15 years, and Victor was one of only 2 students who not only took all my courses, but never got a wrong answer. And he came on my Rome program, just one of the most brilliant students I've ever had, and his last job was at the study abroad office, and I run the Rome program, and so I had years of collaboration with Victor in that capacity, and he left that job for this job, and I cannot think of a more perfect program officer. He's
Awesome.
very knowledgeable at architecture. He is bilingual. He is well-spoken. We're just absolutely thrilled to have him, and you're going to be reading about us.
Cool.
Yep.
We look forward to
I
it.
got a question.
Prince,
How about prehistoric sites? Are you
like
interested?
archaeological?
Yeah, our organization's purview is the built environment from the Native American period through really recent years. Whereas the Trost Society was mostly focused very locally in 19th and 20th century Victorian architecture through World War II. Preservation Texas is deeply involved in pretty much every area of architecture. So we won a $750,000 grant, for example, to help property owners restore rural African-American sites across the state, churches and buildings, some of them from before the Civil War. We're going to be involved in Spanish and Native American heritage. Anything that is architecture that is important and significant is within our purview. Archaeology, less, right? We're more interested in the built environment. Archaeology, insofar as its architectural remains, yes, right? But not archaeology per se. It's just within that scope.
Cool.
Okay.
No, that's a good definition. Awesome. Any other questions?
Yeah, I was kind of curious, how does El Paso fare in terms of potential historic properties that you're interested in to the other 8 counties? Are we, comparable? Are there other counties that have, a greater need? I'm just kind of curious.
Yeah, if you're looking at National Register properties across the 9 counties, over 95% of them are within the city limits of El Paso, right? So the Segundo Barrio became a National Register Historic District on November 3rd, 2021, and the day before, there was only 1 National Register property in the Segundo Barrio, and now there are 685, most of them tax credit eligible. I mean, we have thousands of buildings here from every period, starting in the 17th century through World War II, and many of them need our attention. And we're sitting on our position has always been that we're sitting on a gold mine, and that our cultural assets are economic assets, and that we need to exploit and develop these assets. And we cannot let neighborhoods like Duranguita, for example, fall apart. They have to be cared for properly, and historians and local stakeholders should all be involved.
So,
Yep.
How about, any other questions? No?
I'm going to keep my mouth shut.
Thank you so much then, you all. We look forward to working with you. It's really, really exciting for us.
Glad to hear.
And you're really on the spot though with Max's introduction. So.
Yeah. Well,
But-
Victor's a presence. This
Awesome.
guy, I can't speak highly enough about him. so
Cool. Well,
thank you.
we're greatly looking forward to it. You know how to get a hold of us. So
Absolutely.
thank you both so much.
Thank
And
you,
if you want to
Commissioner.
just take off, I don't know if Cynthia's already done your parking. Cynthia can approve your parking and you can run away if you want or hang out, whatever.
Okay.
Okay.
And by the way, Brian, Parla perfettamente italiano lui.
Uh-oh.
Bene?
Sì?
Ah, va bene.
Possiamo parlare in italiano.
Io non parlo mai.
Thank you
Thank you.
both. All right, well, that takes care of item A, and it was information only, so we are taking no action. That brings us on to regular agenda item B, which is discuss and take appropriate action to continue the guest speaker series in 2025. And on this one, we are going to take a vote. This would be our guest speakers, such as Max and Victor, but that we've had during every commission meeting for the past few years. And basically, we just want to know whether the commission is in favor of continuing this, or if they want to just say no and we'll excise it for future meetings. So
Chair
does-
Welch, if I may. We did have a backup of a complete list.
Yes.
For
Yes,
your,
and
for the
it's up
commission's
here, too.
review. And I know it's not showing all of it, it's a few pages long.
Yeah.
If, I was gonna just ask staff if we could scroll down, thank you so much.
Yes, I'm hoping that everybody looks at everything in advance before they get here. But if not, it is a very extensive list because, as Max said, we have a billion resources in this area. So, two things though. One, yes, we're going to go to a vote and see if we want to keep this ongoing. But second, if we are going to keep it ongoing, we're going to really need to kind of be doing it more in-house, which is going to throw it to the outreach committee, okay? I just want to point that out. So, any questions?
I think we should keep it up.
Excuse me?
We should keep it up.
Okay, well, we'll take it to a vote right now then. So,
Is there a motion to approve?
excuse me?
Is there a motion to approve?
That's what I was just going to ask. Yeah, so if there are no further questions, is there a motion to approve?
Yes.
Okay, so Peter, motions to approve, is there a second?
I'll second.
Well, Mark already did.
I'll give it to Brian, that's fine.
That's fair.
Okay, if you'd like to
Brian?
call it.
That's all right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes.
All right, that brings us on to item number C. Discuss and take appropriate action to continue the support for El Paso History Day and purchase the plaques for the El Paso County Historical Commission-sponsored awards. John, do you want to take that away?
Well, about all I have to offer today is the timeline for the program. Registration began back in November. Registration's still ongoing and ends February 7th.
Okay.
So we've got some time here in terms of if anybody wants to register. Then there is a participant information freeze February 10th. The contest actually starts on February 23rd.
Okay.
I have not heard from Dr. Cartwright. I am sure that he is still carrying a full,
Yes, I think that
Instructional load
Cynthia, and he
term.
spoke about, I don't know if you
Sure.
come up with an amount that we're going to be
My
voting.
apologies, Commissioner Hamilton, for not circling back earlier. So I did check in with Dr. Cartwright, and so as we know from last year, we're no longer able to reimburse UTEP, right? Like we don't work on a reimbursement basis. We have to go through our procurement. So Dr. Cartwright provided the language for the plaques, the dimensions for the plaques, and we have secured a quote in the amount of $120 for all 5 awards. And if the commission wishes to proceed, we can get that ordered through the county's purchasing department.
sounding very good.
Okay.
Excellent.
So, any other questions? Okay, is there a motion to approve the $120?
So moved.
So let's let John Hamilton, Commissioner Hamilton is taking the motion. Is there a second? Second's Mark Howe.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you. All right, that takes us on to agenda item D. Receive an update from the Historical Marker Committee regarding upcoming deadlines and dedication ceremonies. Unfortunately, Commissioner Bear is not here. So the one that I will bring up is this Saturday at 10 a.m. There will be the dedication of the Palmar Institute, which is, I'm sure you all know what it is. But anyway, it's going to be at 10 a.m. And it will start at the Community Foundation at their building at 10 a.m. Most of the ceremony will be there in the foundation room, since where the Palmar is located, there's no parking, it's in residential. So the ceremony itself will take place in the foundation room, at which point, after it ends, the county has procured a shuttle that basically will take everyone over to the actual site at the Palmar. All right, and then we'll just do the unveiling there. There won't be anything further, just the unveiling, yada, yada, and then go back to the foundation room and go home, or wherever. So basically, yes?
Brian.
Oh, Brian, sorry.
On the 3rd of January, Gary Williams, 2 veterans living in San Elizario, and myself restored 3 of the monuments there in the center of the rotunda, or
Yeah.
the gazebo area. The Juan de Oñate monument, the San Elizario monument, and the Espejo Beltran expedition monument.
And you sent pictures, and so.
I've got pictures for
Yeah,
them.
I have a few
Yeah.
so that was a great accomplishment, because those markers were so run down. So, and we really appreciate that. And I know you all enlisted the help of other entities.
Well, it was really kind of interesting because under the direction of Gary Williams, the 3 of us that did the work are all veterans.
Oh, okay.
I think it was just a coincidence, but it was neat meeting those gentlemen down there and working with them. And to Gary's credit, the training that has gone with this restoration project and the ones that we did at the reservation a couple of months ago, we've developed the skills to do this, and now we are going to be in training on being able to rehab the ones that are not aluminum, the bronze ones, which takes a different type of technology to do so. And we're going to enlist the help of a few more volunteers, but we plan to go throughout the county and restore on a 5-year basis all of the monuments, because after about 5 years, they do not need restoration.
Yeah.
It's an ongoing, job,
Yeah,
project. Yeah.
absolutely, yes, and we appreciate it. So thank you so much. We really should just develop a better database so that
Yes,
we'll talk.
and a larger volunteer
Yeah,
force.
that would be good too.
Get some young folks involved and all that. It'd be
Cool.
great.
Okay, I have 2 other things. The TASE marker is going to be put in place this Friday at 10:30 a.m. And that's not the dedication or anything, it's just actually like the installation. If anyone is interested, just reach out to me and I can tell you where it's going to be, but it's over there by basically TASE housing. And the other thing I want to tell you is that the San Elizario Church Cemetery marker is on its way. It should be here within the next few weeks. Excuse me, Mark, yes?
Oh, I'll wait till you're done.
So basically, we really were wanting to get through the Palmar, and now we're going to start, I think TASE will probably be the next one that we'll be scheduling. And then we'll work with the San Elizario Genealogical Society people to do the cemetery installation, which is, of course, slightly different. But we have a lot of markers both on their way here in process. All of that backlog is getting caught up on. So there'll be a whole lot of dedications this year, all right? One other thing, well, actually, let me just ask, are there any questions? Yes?
Well, I was just going to make a comment. I was just at the Society for Historical Archaeology Conference in New Orleans this last week. And one of the presentations they had was on resources for stuff like this. And there's actually a site called hmdb.org, Historical Markers, I think, database. And it's a citizens program for people going out and taking pictures and updating about markers and other well, markers and monuments and so forth that they can put on there, because that's one thing we've been looking at for that, where all of our markers at and monuments and so forth. So it's hmdb.org.
Got it.
And it's more, you can put it on your phone and take pictures and update and stuff. So that was
Interesting
something I
and
wanted to
cool.
bring up on that I thought was pertaining to this, that might be helpful for us.
Awesome. All right, well, are there any questions?
Chair, I have one more update related to
sure.
markers. We also received the Camp Concordia replacement marker. And so we'll be, after we get the Tays installed, we'll be working to schedule the replacement of that historical marker. Because it's a replacement, we cannot do a formal dedication, as I understand. But we can ask the Lincoln Park Conservation Committee and other folks in that area
Yeah.
if they would like to do something just to recognize it being placed. And the park has really changed since the last time the marker was there.
Well, basically, we had, of course, the same thing that we did out with Isleta. So we can't rededicate, but we can definitely have a ceremony that,
Celebrates.
talks about, yes, absolutely. So, yeah, that would be great. Hopefully by then, I'll have information on the other marker I want over there, but that won't be till the end of next month. So, okay.
One
Any-
more marker item. Thursday, we're going to do the McCall marker.
Oh,
Same deal,
Yeah.
same bunch. But Mark Calamia will be joining us to do
okay,
that.
cool. All right, if anybody wants to, I'm not sure if all of you all have ever seen how to not redo, but
It's a restoration
a
process.
restoration
And
of
it's
the marker.
Yes, there's many steps to restoring those. It basically means what you're doing is completely scrubbing it down
Gotcha.
and removing all the
Gotcha.
debris and chemicals and anything that happens to be on the marker. We're using basically the commercial
Solvent.
cleaning solvents and brushes. Then what you're doing is repainting the black background and then sealing it with a spray. That's all the stuff is available at your local hardware store. It's not that complicated. It's more sweat equity and elbow grease than
yeah.
anything else.
So if you all are interested in seeing it or, being a part of it, just reach out to Brian or Gary and, you can.
Yeah, the black paint for the background is the kind of stuff you'd restore your barbecue grill with.
Oh, yeah, like Rust-Oleum?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, anything else? All right, thank you, everyone. That, again, information only, no action taken. That takes us on to item number E, receive a presentation from the County Attorney's Office regarding Section 106 response process.
Well, hello, Anna Schumacher, Assistant County Attorney again. So mine is not as interesting as your other presentation, so sorry in advance. But one of the things we realized since the last meeting is that it caused us to research a lot about the 106 process, and I don't know if ever there has been a presentation or processes with regards to how we handle these countywide generally. So one of the things we thought we'd do is we would share some of our recommendations and our findings, and also so it's kind of recorded and discussed in perpetuity. One of the important things, as you all know, is countywide as opposed to city. For example, the city of El Paso, which is home rule authority, the county only has authority to the extent that it is embedded in the Constitution or in statute, right? So anything we do, we have to find authority in order for us to be able to do that. The County Historical Commission is very much similar. So you all essentially derive your authority, and I'm sure you guys know this well, from two sources. You all are deriving your authority from the Commissioner's Court in part, and then also from the Texas Historical Commission in part, in order to accomplish their programs. So those are the two bedrocks that this commission operates under. So then when we're looking at the 106 process, the National Historic Preservation Act essentially lays out the federal rule, essentially who gets to participate in the 106 processes. As you all know, the State Historical Preservation Officer, in this instance, it is the executive director for the Texas Historical Commission. They are always involved, and you all, I'm sure, have always seen them be involved. The other group that is entitled to participation, and what we have found is not often involved, is the county. So it says the local government of the jurisdiction that is essentially going to be impacted by the project. So that was part of our kind of research delve, is that many times the county, for whatever reasons, it's not your business, right? It is whoever is sending these requests is not including the commissioner's court. The other entity is the additional consulting parties. So these are the groups that may participate under statute. And the Texas Historical Commission, which I'll get to on the next slide, includes the county historical commissions as those additional parties. There we go. So under the Texas Historical Commission 106 process guide, which I'm sure you all have referenced in the past through the Texas Historical Commission, they list the County Historical Commission Chair, which is Commissioner Welch, as the first point of contact for county preservation matters. It's very clear, that's a direct quote from their website. Though it is not expressed that there's a program, that the county historical commissions be per se involved in every 106, I think that there is very much implied derivative authority that is the intent of the Texas Historical Commission. So in the event you all were ever asked, where is this authority coming to respond, you all could point to this. In addition to that, there is a programmatic agreement between the Federal Highway Administration, TxDOT, and Texas Historical Commission, which maybe Commissioner Welch, you may have shared with us, so thank you. Is that agreement is in place through 2028 unless it is for whatever reason dissolved before then. So essentially that is limited authority for the County Historical Commission to respond to those 106 whenever those parties are involved with regards to 106 requests. So those, in the event there's any question, those are where you all are driving your authority to respond to these. All right, so with that being said, what are some recommendations for long-term? Because there's been, as you all know, several changes county side in terms of staffing and how we handle some of our processes. So when reviewing these, one of the things is, as we know, the chair is going to be the first point of contact and receive these. So because we could at any given point in time receive a Public Information Act request, one of the things that we suggest is that these are, one, sent to the liaison, which would be Dr. Renteria, so that those are, for example, subject to responsive records requests, because we only have generally 10 days to respond, and that way they are already available and we're not searching for them. The other thing is archive continuity. Aside from the operational processes of why that's a benefit, we also have to abide by records retention schedules here in Texas. So that is another reason for submitting those, and I think you all already have begun doing this anyway. And the last thing is the coordination for posting these on the meeting. Sometimes last time I think you all had a very short window to respond, so making sure that Dr. Renteria has those on the front end so then the commission as a whole can discuss them. She can assist with ensuring that those are timely posted. The other thing, right, which I already discussed, you all discussing as a body and making a determination, you want to make sure that those items, when they're posted on your agenda, are posted for action. So one of the things that I've mentioned to Mr. Reynolds is that that item, for example, needs to say discuss and take appropriate action. Any one of you all can keep an eye out for that, so you want to make sure that your agenda item says that when you're discussing those items. The other thing that I wanted to share is that when you all are responding to these 106 requests, one of our recommendations would be to note very clearly, for example, that this is coming from the Texas County Historical Commission and is not a response from the County Commissioners Court. And then your authority in terms of responding is coming from the Texas Historical Commission. That way that puts the other side on notice, right, that they may still need to reach out to other parties, including the Commissioners Court, because one of the things that we don't want people to believe, because they work with many entities multiple times, is them thinking that they're coming to you, that maybe they could have thought, and this was one of the things we had to investigate, whether Commissioners Court had delegated authority to you all to respond on behalf of the Commissioners Court, which isn't this case. You all have separate, essentially, ability to respond, but you aren't responding on behalf of both entities. So putting the other side on notice, who is responding on behalf of whom. And then finally, one of the things that we also suggest for that same reason is that Commissioners Court we have found is not receiving these, is that you might want to also consider sending notice whenever you all have responded, that this is what we responded. In the event the Commissioners Court wants to separately take up the issue of we want to also provide comment, they could choose to do so. But that would be our recommendation. You all don't have to do that, but you all essentially as a courtesy could put the Commissioners Court on notice that you all received that. It also does not obligate you all, I would say, to let the other side know or ensure that they are contacting other groups that they are required to contact, right? That is on them. Essentially any entity that they don't contact could essentially pursue whatever recourse they have to ensure that they're included in the 106 process. So those are our recommendations, super quick, just so that everyone's on the same page. Any questions on that end?
Yeah, I kind of have to think this through a little bit, because, and we'll just go further, because right now we go to, the Texas Historical Commission, and we go to the County Historical Commission, and we go to the Texas Historical Commission. And so, I mean, I think that We don't actually, other than the large ones where they have the very formal letter, like you see with TxDOT, or there have been a few others of that kind, in which case we do all come together and then we do have a letter that comes from us. But we receive a lot of small ones. On those, we have a group of people that we send out who are experts, and they're not just commissioners. I think most of you are actually on that list, but we also have someone from the electric company. We have someone who is just an archaeologist who's very knowledgeable. And I was going to speak with Dr. Renteria further because our list has somewhat shrunk as people have retired, and we probably need to add more people to that. But that's actually the first recourse, because we'll get something in that will say, most of them are cell towers, so I'll just go cell towers.
Yes.
These ones, like TxDOT, are different because they have a longer time frame and they need, a lot more research. The majority of what we get are cell towers, and you basically have between 28 and 30 days to either say yes or no.
Okay.
So those go out, we send out to that list of experts. We just forward it to them and say, here it is. Does anyone have any responses about the area where they want to put the cell tower up? And then basically, I compile all those. There's a run on them. I compile them and then send them back and then send the copy to Dr. Renteria. So I'm not sure. It just depends on when we get it.
Yes.
But we might have a weird time glitch between getting it onto an agenda for here versus getting it back before they throw a cell tower in Sacred Heart's parking lot, you
Right.
know? So that's just something I want to point out. It may not happen every time, but
I'm
it
so
could
glad.
happen.
No, that's a great point. I'm so glad you brought that up, and I didn't realize that's how that was happening, and that's awesome that you all have this expanded group that you all can draw insight from. One of the things that you all could do or consider doing for something like that is calling a special meeting if there is a really short turnaround, if you're able to get a quorum in order to basically say we discuss this item with this group of people or this committee, and this is their recommendation, and then just have something formally from the body approving that 106
Now,
response.
we'll play it by ear. We'll just see, there was one year where we had 1 billion cell towers going up. It has slacked off lately, so it has.
I know,
You all get
I
the,
know.
but I do want to speak to you about adding some more people to our list of experts.
Now I have a quick question, follow-up question on that. So who manages or creates that list? Is it the Historical Commission?
I inherited it.
But how was it, well, we can speak to how it was
Yeah.
created, because that'll give us more direction. And if it's coming from us, then we just saw a list of presenters, right? Of people that we can call on to see if they'd like to participate. But I think that we should figure out the question of a special session if, say, we do have multiple cell towers, like these more administrative ones. Would it be acceptable for the chair to respond to some of those in consulting with the group that we identify, and then bringing it here to inform the body of what was done?
Yeah,
Would
we've
that
always-
work?
Yeah.
You go ahead. So
I was going to just say, we really always have to consult the group first, because although each of us has areas of expertise, some of the members of this group have, like Ron Lyman, who has specific knowledge of certain things in the Mission Valley and everything. And so we send it out, and many of them are in that area. But so we would send it out first just because we want experts outside of just ourselves, like I said, most of us are on it, but to actually weigh in on it so we don't accidentally miss something, quite honestly, because the turnaround time is so fast. So, if I'm seeing it like this, I'm saying, okay, I'm still going to send it out to our group of experts, and I usually put them on a 2-week notice because we have to have it all compiled and everything within 28 days. And almost concurrently, we would have to take those findings back to this body. So,
Right.
So that's why my question is, if you go through your process, and if that's still the process that we're going to continue, and we bring a letter or response after the fact, to the Historical Commission. Would that work, given the different timings?
So I think for something like that, what you all could do is you all could adopt a policy that you all vote on collectively that sets out, for example, this is a process that we want to ensure it's followed. Let's pretend it's this process that you already currently have, and let's say it's for cell towers only. Maybe you all want to collectively do call a special meeting if it's something of a larger scale, right? So you all could narrow the parameters for when you all would give maybe administrative authority for Commissioner Welch to then sign off on your behalf versus the instances you may want to call a special meeting. But I think you all should maybe develop that policy
Okay,
so it's
awesome.
written. The other thing I heard, just because I have a knack for catching issues, I heard, I think at some point say that most of you were on that email. One of the thing you want to make sure of, because you don't want to have a quorum or a walking quorum via email.
Oh, yeah, no, that's why,
Okay,
why
okay.
it's kind of like it doesn't go into quorum issues. Some people are left off.
Okay, perfect. I'm glad you're doing that,
Yeah.
right. Because, whenever, and this is a good reminder generally, whenever you all have ongoing emails, if Commissioner Welch or Dr. Renteria sends you all something, right, the other thing you want to make sure of, right, is that you're not communicating absent a meeting. If there's essentially 6 of you all discussing an item on an email, that would essentially be conducting county business now. So you could respond to one person. You could respond directly to Commissioner Welch or directly to Dr. Renteria to avoid that, so.
Yeah, and
Yes.
for the, I know that right now we don't go into that, but I would always just blind copy everybody.
Yes.
If there was, I mean, not talking about these.
Right.
But say there's another situation where everybody needs to know, I just blind copy everybody on it.
That
So that no one
works. That
comes back
works.
to myself and usually
Yes.
Cynthia.
And
So-
sorry for myself suggesting a topic that was not
No,
on the agenda, so I will
absolutely.
self-censor
Good.
myself from here out.
Good to remind everybody always.
So thank you all so much for your time and for your work on this.
Thank you.
Of
Thank you.
course.
Does
Thank you
anybody
all.
else have any questions?
All right.
Awesome.
Thank you all for all you do.
so much for
Thank you all.
this.
My pleasure.
Oh, absolutely. And again, information only, no action taken. That brings us on to item F, which is receive history, heritage, and historic preservation-related announcements and upcoming events from the County Historical Commissioners. I'm going to start with you, Mark, and we can just go down the line. Commissioner Howe, nothing?
Well, in the future, we're going to have a El Paso Trails and Tales tour, hopefully to Monument One and Harts Mill in the future,
Okay,
the next month or two,
Cool.
depending on how things are on the
okay.
borderlands.
Keep us in the loop. Peter?
Oh, not a whole lot. I can update on the burials in Sunset Height, Monday Heights. And we're close to receiving the NTP from the THC, so we'll move forward. And the idea is to have the burials removed and the water lines installed by the end of January.
Oh, by the end of January? Okay. Well, keep us informed on that.
Yeah, it's
Commissioner
pressure.
Hamilton?
I don't have anything today.
Okay, Commissioner McKenzie?
Well, I'd like to thank John Hamilton for making an outstanding presentation on Fort Bliss in our last Ollie history class last semester. And we have not taken a class out there for a couple of years. And so it was really outstanding, an outstanding job that he did. And then also, he did a good job at the Historical Society, where we gave the students a guide to what the Historical Society does, their archives, and their purpose and mission, everything that they do, which is very enlightening, I think, for history of El Paso. And so we have our new catalog for the spring semester, and it's focused on prehistoric peoples, 2 museums, the Mission Valley, and it's in the book, page 11.
Cool. And I know they always have a waiting list. Your classes are exceedingly popular, so that's great. And they really bring the history alive, so.
Ron Lyman is doing a great job.
Cool, as are you. All right, well, I actually have already made all my announcements in the Marketers Committee. Unfortunately, Patricia's not here. I know she had some, but she didn't send them to me. So, Commissioner Kanoff, anything?
I think I pretty much hit on all of my bases in previous comments.
Okay, cool. All right, well then, that takes us through there. Again, this was information only, no action taken, which takes us on to item number G. Receive updates from El Paso County staff on heritage tourism, historic preservation, economic development, and other related matters, including Casa Ronquillo, Old County Jail, and the National Park Service grant. Dr. Renteria.
So good afternoon, Commissioners. Dr. Cynthia Renteria for the record. So a quick update on Casa Ronquillo. On Casa Ronquillo, we are waiting for the subcontractor of the contractor to submit the report of the archaeology findings to the Texas Historical Commission. As you know, the Texas Historical Commission then has 30 days to respond, and they will provide a direction to our department and our sister department, Public Works. And that could be a number of things, as many of you know, right? They could say, continue excavating. They could say, no significant findings, please proceed with your project. So we won't know the next steps on Casa Ronquillo until that report is turned in, but really until the Texas Historical Commission it gives us their response. So that's where Casa Ronquillo is at this point. On the Old County Jail, I think I heard Commissioner Condon mention it, but I didn't hear him too clearly. But we have a, on that one, we submitted our design for the restoration of the jail, or our contractor submitted the design to the Historical Commission. The Texas Historical Commission came back and said, because there's going to be ground disturbance, although minor, to put in some spotlights that'll light up the jail at night, which will look really beautiful, you need to have an archaeology work plan, right? So then we, our department added additional resources so that the contractor could subcontract an archaeologist to submit the work plan. We expect that the work plan will be submitted next week. And then the Historical Commission, the Texas Historical Commission, again, has 30 days to respond and provide direction. And then we'll know when we can proceed with the restoration of the Old County Jail. During that time, the jail will be closed for complete restoration, and all activities will be operating out of the Los Portales Museum and Visitor Center. So the National Park, so El Paso County, in collaboration with the City of El Paso and the El Paso Chamber, received a National Parks, Rivers, Trails, and Conservation grant last year. And so we've been working with NPS to develop sort of a next steps based on the 2019 Mission Trail comprehensive plan. And if you all aren't familiar with that, I'm happy to share it with the commission for your review. And it essentially funded two areas or two goals within the Mission Trail plan. Furthering the UNESCO designation of the Mission Trail, and traffic mitigation, and making the Mission Trail, pedestrian friendly, complete streets, that sort of things, right? So those are two areas of the plan that this grant will help us focus on to hopefully further the plan. That doesn't mean that we're going to have a UNESCO designation at the end of this grant, or that we're going to have complete streets along the Mission Trail by the end of this grant, but that we're going to have next steps to help us further the implementation of that plan. So, and we're working with NPS's network of experts, and so that's kind of where we're at this point. We have an internal working group of stakeholders that are providing feedback, and then we're going to open it up for public feedback. And this type of feedback is also based on what is needed, right? Where are the traffic issues? Where are people afraid to cross the street? Or things of that nature. So it's going to require a lot of feedback. We had the first meeting before the break, and we're hoping to have the next meeting at the beginning of February. If anyone is interested in participating in any of these meetings, please let me know, as your feedback, of course, is welcome. And I will keep you up to date as this project develops.
I have one question.
Yes,
if you're
ma'am.
done. Does it network at all with the city's new Alameda Corridor project, or no?
No, it doesn't. So
Okay.
this is Mission Trail
Yeah, so
specific
just
focus.
specifically
Yeah. And
not
this,
taking, yeah. Okay.
yes, ma'am. And this actually came out of a group that meets now monthly called the Mission Trail Alliance. And so the chamber, the city, the different municipalities, Socorro, San Elizario, the Isla del Sur Pueblo, right, they're all represented. So this came out of there,
Okay.
kind of during a time when our department was understaffed. And so the city and the chamber initially took the lead. We really need to thank Omar Martinez over at the city of El Paso for putting that grant through. When our department, since our department has been staffed up, they said it's really a role for the county to take the lead on this, being the only entity that has jurisdiction across the entire Mission Trail. So myself and our department manager, Mr. Cristian Martinez, whom I think most of you have met, are working on this project. So I'm working on the UNESCO side, he is focusing on the traffic side, but we're working together with NPS.
Yeah, the only reason I asked is because when you said city, I was
Yes.
thinking, well, the city does, but they do have this element.
have that
they
little
could
section.
network, but okay, cool.
And they do have that like small section of the
Yeah.
Mission Trail, yes ma'am.
Okay, cool. Well, interesting, very interesting. So, does anyone have any questions? Mark, you're looking like you might have a question, but
Before I got here, I heard some news about some grants for the mission trails that Congresswoman Escobar just got, that she's going to be
Okay.
awarded. And I think one was historical. A couple of things they just said on the news before I got here.
So last year, through appropriations, Congresswoman Escobar did, through the SBA, the Small Business Administration, allocate funding for small business development and retention and marketing along the Mission Trail, right? So it's not for, like, it's not directly for heritage tourism or historic preservation, but it could be depending on the nature of the business and the location of the business and what it is that they need as far as technical assistance. But it's mostly technical assistance and marketing. So that funding and those contracts will be managed through economic development and my colleagues that focus more on the business side. So those contracts have not come up yet, but when they do, I can let you know if that is something that the Historical Commission is interested in, but it will be a lot of outreach to businesses.
I think that it would be great if at some point we revived that Main Street, designation. This is before you, but we had started working on it. The THC has a Main Street program. And some years ago, I worked on it with Maya, so that, back when she was, so we worked on it, but she went into a different position and we lost another critical person who was a commissioner that worked on it with me. But it might be a good point to, look into resurrecting, the Main Street program in conjunction with that, because they network somewhat, so we can talk.
So I think that's something that we can bring up to the Mission Trail Committee, because that's supposed to be, the Mission Trail is supposed to be their area
Yeah,
of focus.
absolutely.
And so I think definitely something we should discuss here, but also in that committee with those additional
Yeah,
partners.
because it really.
I'm happy to look into it.
It's, the Main Street designation is like a crossroads between history and business. So it of course incorporates like traditional main streets, but its focus is on like enhancing and outreach to businesses that are there now. So,
Yeah, definitely something that we should discuss
that'd be
further and
great.
maybe bring back.
Absolutely.
Sure.
I know it was before you, but it would be great to
Thank you for
go
that.
further on it.
Now, I always appreciate the commission's context and history of the Historical Commission and of the county. It's been very helpful. I really appreciate it.
Awesome, thank you. All right, anything else from anyone? Well, again, no action taken, so that information only. So that takes us on to adjournment. So is there a motion to adjourn?
So move.
All right, well, Peter
I'll
beat
second
you,
it.
so you can be the second. Commissioner McKenzie seconded it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone want to keep going? No? Meeting adjourned at 4:59. Thank you, commissioners, for your time and dedication.
Thank you.